took Anakin aboard their ship on the way to Coruscant. Anakin sat quietly in the darkened chamber of the Jedi medical wing on Coruscant, stripped of his cloak, stripped of his power, and strapped to the bed not for confinement, but for monitoring. The faint sound of life support systems beeped rhythmically beside him, but his mind was elsewhere, his eyes closed. Not on the room, not on the pain in his joints, not even on the disapproving silence of the Jedi Council that weighed over him like a tombstone. His thoughts were fixed on the box. He remembered everything. The way the air vanished from the room, the necklace slipping from his hand, the silence that fell like a funeral curtain. He had opened the box, and inside was the unthinkable, the head of Shmi, preserved and bloodless, wrapped in the same shawl that he had seen her wear many times on those sand-stormy days, her mouth slightly agape as if trying to speak one last time, her eyes lifeless but open, looking up at him. Anakin had not screamed, he had not cried, he had simply stopped feeling. Now, under the ceiling of Coruscant, millions of lives buzzed below, and the Jedi Temple above it all felt like a lie. Yoda entered the chamber with silent steps. His cane tapped gently against the marble floor as he walked in beside Mace Windu, who carried a datapad filled with recordings of the Battle of Geonosis. Neither of them spoke at first. They simply stood by the bed. Anakin turned to them, well, as much as he could, strapped in, meeting them with empty eyes.
Recovered? Your body has, but your mind clouded. It remains,
Yoda said softly. Mace stepped forwards. We watched everything. What you did to Maul, to Sidious, even to Dooku. You tore them apart like they were nothing. Anakin blinked once. They were nothing. Windu paced slowly. You channeled power beyond anything we've seen, but there's no balance in what you did. That was vengeance. That was hate. That was justice. Yoda's ears twitched.
Justice. Rage. Jedi. It does not make.
Anakin sat up, straining slightly against the stiff joints of his recovering muscles. I never claimed to be a Jedi. A long silence. Mace stared at him, measuring the words. You opened the box. What you found would have broken anyone else. It did break me. It just didn't kill me. Yoda leaned on his cane.
You, the Emperor did. Your love for her, guilt, your rage, anchors, were they tools to turn you?
I know. Then why? Mace asked. Why open it? Anakin looked down at his hands. Because I needed to know. There was still something left to lose. The following days passed in haze and reconstruction. The Jedi Temple was under guard, the Republic Senate in disarray, and the Separatist remnants scattered without Dooku or Sidious to guide them. Anakin remained isolated within the temple under watch, but not as a prisoner. The Council didn't know what to do with him. No one did. Padme was brought in quietly, under guard, away from the public. The reunion with Anakin was not fiery or passionate. It was quiet. She entered the meditation chamber and stood behind him for a long time. I know what you did, she said, and I know why you did it. Anakin didn't turn. They had her. They used her, just like they tried to use you. Padme stepped closer. You killed them all. I had to. Did you? He turned. His face was tired, his eyes clearer. If I hadn't, they would have kept coming. And if I hadn't opened that box, I might have still believed they could be reasoned with. She looked at him, trembling. And what about now? What do you believe? He stood, walked past her. I believe the galaxy doesn't need Jedi or Sith. It needs people who aren't afraid to do what's necessary. A new council session was called. Fewer masters than ever before sat in the Great Circle. Windu, Yoda, Shaak Ti, Aayla Secura, Obi-Wan, they all returned from the Outer Rim after being told the full truth. He hadn't spoken to Anakin yet. He wasn't sure what to say. The Chosen One fulfilled the prophecy, Shaak Ti said. The Sith are gone. No, Obi-Wan replied. The Sith Lords are dead. That doesn't mean the darkness they unleashed has been undone. Mace Windu turned to Yoda. We can't keep him locked in the temple, but we can't release him either. Yoda nodded slowly.
A choice. He must.
Stood before them hours later. No lightsaber, no cloak, just a dark tunic and his presence. You're afraid of me, he said flatly. No, Windu said. We're afraid of what you might become. You should be. I don't know what I am anymore, but I know what I don't want to be. Obi-Wan took a step forwards. And? What's that? A weapon. He looked at each of them. I'm leaving. Not as an exile, not in defiance. I just need to figure out who I am without someone trying to mold me. Maul, Sidious, even you. You all had a plan for me. Now it's time I make my own. Yoda closed his eyes.
Go, but watchful we will be, and hopeful.
Anakin nodded. As he turned to leave, Padme waited by the door. Are you ready? She asked. He didn't answer. He just walked past her, and she followed, out into the light of Coruscant, out into a galaxy without Sith, but with a darkness still lurking, not in the shadows, but in the hearts of those who believe peace is permanent, and Anakin would be waiting. Hope you guys enjoyed this quick part 4 continuation of what happened to Anakin Skywalker. Let me know what you think of Padme being in the story. That's something I was wondering, what would I really do with her? But I kind of like this. I like this reunion of them. I think this kind of is like happy in the end, because it's, kind of what we all wanted for Anakin. For him to kind of do his own thing, not be controlled or molded by anybody, but to be happy. And when he's with Padme, he is content. And so we'll see where this leads him. But now he's kind of on his own, and we don't really know exactly what's going to become of him, what he's going to choose, what is he going to finally land on when it comes to his choice. And I was hoping that a lot of you could have some thoughts or comments based on where you want me to take Anakin and his decisions going forwards in the story. Please let me know in the comments below. Please do leave a like on this video. That's all I ask. And I'll see you guys all in the next episode of Star Wars Theory. Until then, my fellow Jedi and Sith friends, remember, the Force will be with you, always. Episode 5, George Lucas on the Force.
Vader was seduced by the dark side of the Force. The Force is what the Jedi are. Found over the things close to him. Controls individuals what you have his will. His destiny is what you follow. He lives for a reason, and let's discover what it is. It looks like it was done when I started episode 1.
Oh, okay.
Because it looks like it's referring to episode 1. And a lot of it's like this thing about the Force, in all living things that surround us is really just a capsule of what was said in episode 5.
Life breathes it, makes it grow. Its energy surrounds us, binds us.
Core of the Force. I mean, you got the dark side and the light side. One is selfless, one is selfish. And you want to keep them in balance. What happens when you go to the dark side? It's out of balance. You get really selfish. You get out of balance. Ultimately, you leave yourself, because when you get selfish, you get stuff. When you want stuff. When you want stuff, you get stuff. Then you get afraid, so you're going to take it away from you. Whether it's a person or a thing, or a particular pleasure, experience. Once you become afraid that something's going to take it away from you, you're going to lose it. Then you start to become angry.
into a little bit of Quinlan Vos after the tragic events of Dark Disciple and kind of where he's going, what we've seen now with Disney, what they've done with him in the Kenobi show, and then further on with Tales of the Underworld. So after Dark Disciple, Quinlan Vos was left entirely broken. He just lost the love of his life, Asajj Ventress, the woman that he deeply cared for and never thought that he would, who sacrificed herself to save him from falling completely to the dark side. In her final moments, Ventress gave Quinlan something that the Jedi couldn't, a true chance at redemption. And what happened next? Where does Quinlan Vos go, and how does he cope with the overwhelming grief and guilt? Well, it seems like, according to the Kenobi show and according to Tales of the Underworld, is that he's essentially trying to find survivors from Order 66 and take them along the path. And what this is probably just some sort of a very secret hidden Jedi Academy, or a place where kids from Order 66 can be safe, or kids that survived Order 66. I mean, that's at least my theory. And maybe that's where they're creating some sort of a secret army of Force users to perhaps protect themselves, combat the future of the Empire, or if Vader returns. Now first, let's quickly revisit the end of Dark Disciple, where Vos places Ventress's body into the mystical Sleeper's Pool on Dathomir, feeling the whispering voices of the Night Sisters, as the Force seemingly accepted her back into its embrace. This moment right here is what really forever changes Quinlan, and like Anakin Skywalker after Padme's death, Quinlan was consumed by guilt. He blamed himself deeply, questioning his decisions and struggling with the darkness within him. It very much reminded me of when Qui-Gon Jinn lost his love interest, Tal, and ended up kind of like literally falling to the dark side and just wandering the desert for days. When Quinlan returns to the Jedi Council, they were very, very wary of him. After all, he had been dangerously close to becoming Dooku's new apprentice, something that Obi-Wan vividly warned about. The council debated whether Quinlan could ever truly be trusted again. Eventually, they allowed him to remain, though under careful watch. This is kind of like what happened in distant EU from a game where Plo Koon used Force Lightning, called Force Judgment. The council questioned him like crazy about it, and in order to let him back, they had to go under this rigorous questionnaire sort of thing and just keep a very close eye on him, which is the same thing that they do with Quinlan. So eventually they allow him to remain through careful watch, but I mean, they had their own issues. The Clone Wars were raging on, and Order 66 would just about soon enough tear apart everything that they've built. They had bigger things to worry about. Now we know from canon, after the Obi-Wan show, that Master Quinlan Vos did survive Order 66. Now, in Revenge of the Sith, we also know that Quinlan Vos did survive. And this is when Obi-Wan Kenobi says to Anakin, Master Vos has moved his troops to Boz Pitti, confirming that he was active late in the Clone Wars. But the bigger question remains, how did he survive Palpatine's Jedi Purge? So my theory is that Quinlan was unlike most Jedi. He was trained specifically in espionage, infiltration, and survival tactics. Not to mention, of course, his power of psychometry could leave a trail of breadcrumbs of where an object has been. We saw his unique skills vividly in the Clone Wars, and then again in Dark Disciple. He has experience going undercover, operating under assumed identities, and most importantly, blending seamlessly into the galaxy's darkest corners. I mean, Qui-Gon didn't even notice him in The Phantom Menace, or maybe he did and he just, allowed him to continue his mission without blowing his cover. This level of expertise would have given him a huge advantage when Order 66 was executed.